guys, what's going on? My name is Ryan Kelly, and today I saw something that caught my eye. I was watching TV when I noticed on my playlist on the TV I had a new SpongeBob episode I hadn't seen yet, and I was like, well, I thought I saw all the SpongeBob episodes, but apparently I haven't seen all of them because, well, this one was here. So I watched the episode, and what I saw was appalling. This is one of the worst new SpongeBob episodes I have seen in quite some time. So today I will be reviewing this episode to let you guys all know how bad it really is. Let's get started with this masterpiece. So the episode opens up with SpongeBob and the Krusty Krab trying to hold his breath. Yeah, because that's what everyone does at their job. I know I sit down at my job and I just try to hold my breath. And in fact, when I'm writing these scripts, I actually try to hold my breath and see how many lines I can get before I pass out. Anyway, of course this would annoy Squidward, because why wouldn't it? Which causes him to ask SpongeBob what he's doing. This results in him getting himself hurt for no apparent reason. But if you think this is bad, trust me, the episode gets way worse from here. And just for a little insider, in modern episodes of SpongeBob, Squidward will almost always get hurt in the episode for no apparent reason. Meaning people refer to this as Squidward torture porn. I think Mysterious Mr. Ender came up with that first, but I'm not really sure. Which pretty much just means if Squidward is present in an episode, he's gonna get tortured. That's pretty much what it means. And he will get hurt for no apparent reason. Anyway, SpongeBob tells Squidward that he's trying to see how long he can hold his breath for because his new idol walks around Bikini Bottom holding his breath. Now, who is SpongeBob's new idol? Well, isn't it obvious by now? His new idol is Kenny the Cat, of course. I mean, who else would it be? I mean, it's the name of the episode, so, I mean, you might as well put it together. And pretty much Kenny the Cat is the cat who's famous for... I just need a moment before I say this. I know I said it earlier, but it's just... This is when it's truly registering. It's truly registering to me how dumb it is. How dumb this concept of an episode is. Okay, I think I'm good now. Kenny the Cat is famous for holding his breath underwater for long periods of time. I have a couple of things to say about this, but the first thing I have to say about this is, why would anyone have the idea to go underwater and start to hold their breath and try to get famous? Why? And plus, who the cares about a cat who can hold his breath underwater? I understand that fish don't see cats that often, and it's kind of ironic because cats eat fish, but yet the cat is holding his breath underwater. But I'm thinking way too deep about this. Anyway, also I should just point out that Kenny the Cat is named after SpongeBob's voice actor Tom Kenny, which I have to admit I actually really like that little detail. Like, that's actually really awesome that they did that. But other than that, everything else about this episode upsets me. Okay. Anyway, so of course, since Kenny is famous and can hold his breath for so long, SpongeBob wants to be just like Kenny and try to hold his breath underwater. Okay, so, one problem with that. Why does SpongeBob need to hold his breath? That's not even physically possible, because if SpongeBob is to be like a fish and not like a sponge, he has gills. Or not gills, but he has holes where air or water can go in. That doesn't make any sense. That already pokes a hole in the theory right there. But I'm thinking too deep about this. Okay, so right off the bat, when I was watching this episode for the first time, I noticed that this episode was a direct ripoff of the episode I'm Your Biggest Fanatic, which was the episode about how SpongeBob wants to be more like Kevin, and SpongeBob makes Kevin his idol. Which, by the way, I would recommend you watch that one. That's a way better episode than this. This episode is absolute trash compared to that. We're not even 2 minutes into this episode, and I'm already sick of it. I'm literally this close to losing it. Okay, so Mr. Krabs doesn't know who Kenny is until, of course, SpongeBob tells Mr. Krabs to check his wallet, which doesn't really surprise us at this point because, well, Mr. Krabs is already a greedy. We already know that. I mean, that's pretty much his personality. He's greedy. And of course, when Mr. Krabs checks his wallet, he sees Kenny on the $50 bill, which, question number one, my question to that is, why would you put Kenny the Cat on a $50 bill? That's for presidents. I know this is looking at it way too deep, but Kenny is famous for holding his breath underwater. Don't put him on a $50 bill. That's just I'm gonna make myself really pissed off if I keep talking about this. Mr. Krabs is told by SpongeBob that Kenny is coming into town, so this makes Mr. Krabs want SpongeBob to go and find Kenny, and to get Kenny and his fans to come to the Krusty Krab so that Mr. Krabs can make money like he always wants. I mean, guys, if you didn't see this plot coming, you obviously have not watched many of the modern SpongeBob episodes. I mean, if it starts out in the Krusty Krab and it's an episode of an idol, just assume that Mr. Krabs wants money from it. I mean, that's just given at this point. SpongeBob is delighted to do this because, well, why not? Because it drives the plot forward. So next we're taking to Sandy's house. At Sandy's house, SpongeBob comes over not wearing his air helmet to try to be like Kenny, when we are greeted with this unnecessary gross out scene with SpongeBob. This. It's not even necessary. I understand SpongeBob likes doing gross outs, and honestly, these things don't really gross me out, but it's just like, why have it? I understand that Ren and Stimpy was a gross out show. I understand that you're trying to be like Ren and Stimpy in some sort of way. But if you're going to do a gross out, don't just randomly throw one in and then not throw another one in. Oh, but, you know, don't worry, guys. If you really, really don't like these segments, there are at least 2 more to come. Maybe 3. That just depends on you. Anyway, when Sandy asks SpongeBob what he's doing, he tells Sandy that he's going to try to hold his breath like Kenny the cat. SpongeBob then says that Sandy is kind of like a cat. Wait, what? What? Did SpongeBob actually say that a squirrel is kind of like a cat? SpongeBob, I know you're not a smart sponge, but come on, man. Just because Sandy and Kenny are both mammals doesn't mean that they're alike. That's like saying an M&M is like a Jolly Rancher because they're both candies, so you know they're the same thing practically. Oh, come on, guys. This is just sloppy. This is a sloppy segment into hearing Sandy talk about how she hates cats. Oh yeah, which, by the way, guys, did you know Sandy hates cats? Because I didn't know that until now. SpongeBob continues to tell Sandy about how great Kenny is and how he can hold his breath for a long period of time, which causes Sandy to tell SpongeBob that that is not even physically possible, and she tells SpongeBob that you should never trust a cat. By the way, remember that because that line's kind of important to the entire plot of the episode. Wow, that's actually shocking. They have a line that's actually important to the plot of the episode. Good job, SpongeBob. Nice. And then the scene ends. I understand that the purpose of the scene was for SpongeBob to tell Sandy about Kenny, but my question is, why was SpongeBob coming over to Sandy's house originally? He just leaves after telling Sandy Kenny could hold his breath for a longer time and that she's probably jealous of him. Well, I guess you could argue that SpongeBob was coming over to show off how long he can hold his breath for. Even if this is the case, why couldn't they have done this at his house with Gary, or with Patrick, or even on the shore? Yeah, because they've been on the shore a couple of times, and hey, you know what? Going on the shore, they don't have a single issue breathing. But yet, SpongeBob has an issue breathing underwater in Sandy's house. That doesn't really make sense at all. Again, SpongeBob isn't really known for its continuity, so I can let this one slide for now. Okay, so this next scene is with SpongeBob and Patrick, and, well, frankly, this is the weirdest scene in the episode. This is my least favorite scene in the whole episode, and let me just say, it's a scene about SpongeBob obsessing over Kenny, which we saw this coming. I mean, come on, guys. If you know anything about SpongeBob and you know how he obsesses over a certain thing, there's going to be a scene where he goes a little too far with it. And, of course, Kenny the cat has that scene in there. I know it's a little segment, but it still bothers me. You see, in the old episodes where SpongeBob obsesses over Kevin, which, wow, now that I think about it, Kevin and Kenny, they even have the same letter, K. They start with the same letter. Come on, guys. Be a little more creative. Anyway, with the old episodes, Kevin, like SpongeBob's creepiness towards Kevin was in a playful way. It wasn't weird. But in the newer episodes, like with Kenny, it's just weird. Okay, so let's actually talk about the scene. SpongeBob and Patrick start to talk about how great Kenny is. Of course, because it's a creepy Kenny scene. But this scene gets weird really fast. SpongeBob asks Patrick if he can see a Kenny constellation. Hold on, wait. A Kenny constellation. As if the stars, the heaven above, knows how great Kenny is for being able to hold his breath underwater. So therefore, you can have a Kenny constellation in the sky. Okay. The sad thing about this is, this isn't even the weirdest part of the whole episode. This part right here is the weirdest part. So now, SpongeBob wants to paint their faces to look like Kenny. Because why not? Because, you know, SpongeBob's done this before. He's done things like this before. And because of this, we're greeted with the second gross... it's not really a gross out, but it's just disturbing. It's just this. Oh, I'm sorry you had to see that. It's Patrick with a Kenny face. And then the worst part is SpongeBob with a Kenny face. Oh, God. Nickelodeon, what are you doing with the show? Come on, guys. This is just sad. This even creeps Patrick out, which is really impressive because Patrick has a really low intelligence. So the fact that Patrick can detect that SpongeBob is over-obsessing with Kenny should really show SpongeBob something. So with this, Patrick decides to bail, which ends the scene. You know what? I don't even think I need to talk about this scene because I think Patrick can describe the scene for me.
This is getting creepy.
So if you actually managed to watch this piece of shit for this long, I'm very sorry because it only gets worse from here. Alright, so now we actually get to meet Kenny the cat! Whoopee! Yay! I'm so excited to meet Kenny. Yay! SpongeBob sees Kenny walking down the street and asks him to sign his Kenny spatula because he has one of those, of course. And Kenny says yes because, well, why wouldn't he? And Kenny, because, well, the plot needs to move along, says he's hungry. And, well, SpongeBob asks if he wants to go down to the Krusty Krab to eat. And Kenny says yes because, again, the plot needs to move forward. So now we're at the Krusty Krab where Mr. Krabs is happy because he's getting all the money that he wants. After that, Mr. Krabs welcomes Kenny to the family by putting his claw around his neck, which causes him to need to breathe again because apparently when crabs touch your neck, that means that you need to breathe again. So whoop-de-doo. Oh, by the way, big shocker, Kenny was faking it the whole time. He actually has an air tank on his back and he goes into the bathroom and starts using it. I mean, guys, if you didn't see this one coming, I mean, this is just basic. We all knew from the get-go that Kenny was a fake. I mean, come on. Just like Kevin was a fake in that episode. Oh, wow. So many similarities. Anyway, of course SpongeBob walks in on Kenny using the air tank because the plot needs to move forward again. Whoa. Okay, so I have so many questions about this whole scenario. 1. Why did Kenny decide to use the air tank in the middle of the restroom where anyone could have walked in to see him do this? 2. Why is he narrating aloud why he needs the air tank? He already knows why he needs it, and there's no one in the room while he's saying this, so he's not trying to explain it to anyone, because why would he? I mean, he's trying to keep his reputation of holding his breath. And 3, why the does he not try to hide the air tank once SpongeBob does come in? And if this is what Kenny does after every performance, then how has he not gotten caught sooner than this? Again, I know I'm thinking way too much about this, but it really bothers me at this point. I mean, I know it's just little details, but still, come on. If you're gonna do stuff like this, at least think it through a little bit more. SpongeBob literally gets his heart broken by this and does not like Kenny anymore. Sorry, for a moment I thought I was watching a good episode, like the one I'm Your Biggest Fanatic, but then I realized, well, I'm watching this piece of So as we would suspect, Kenny tries and succeeds at convincing SpongeBob to not tell anyone about the truth about how he can't hold his breath for a long time. Well, this doesn't even matter because, well, Sandy comes in and, well, we all know that Sandy's gonna reveal the truth behind Kenny. I mean, again, if you don't see this coming, I mean, I saw this coming from a mile away. Sandy asks him questions about breathing and how it's not possible for someone to be able to hold their breath for that long. So, for some reason, this causes Kenny to have to get his air tank out. Okay. Alright. Hey, people who made this cartoon, I want to sit down and talk with you real fast. Okay, so, actually, people. 1. why would Kenny decide to use the air tank when Sandy was talking about breathing? I understand it was because Sandy was describing breathing and that made Kenny, or reminded Kenny that he needed to breathe. But, I mean, come on. He's probably had interviews and stuff like that, and that probably makes him think about breathing, and it's never been a problem until this point, until this squirrel describes breathing. Oh my god, this episode is driving me crazy. This is literally driving me crazy. Okay, but one thing I have to say, good job, people who made this cartoon, because you actually used foreshadowing. Remember that line earlier that I mentioned about Sandy saying that you should never trust a cat? Well, hey, it was foreshadowing, I guess. I mean, if you didn't see the plot coming, I mean, it was good because it kind of indicated that you shouldn't trust a cat. So, good job for that.
I knew Kenny was a fake.
Okay, Sandy, you don't need to rub it in. I get it. You used foreshadowing. Good job. Okay. Anyway, this causes the people of Bikini Bottom to instantly not be interested in Kenny anymore and to dislike him. But it's okay because Mr. Krabs still made all that money that Kenny brought in. So after that scene, Kenny and SpongeBob are talking about what Kenny will do now that he's not famous anymore. SpongeBob tells Kenny that he could be famous for being a cat that actually likes water, which Kenny thinks this will actually work for some reason. Why would you think that would work for some reason? That's just stupid. And of course, the episode must end with Sandy saying that you can never trust her.
I knew Kenny was a fake.
Okay, Sandy! Let me finish the script before you interrupt me, okay? Can you do that for me, Sandy? Thank you. My final question about this episode before I talk about my final thoughts is, if Kenny needed the air tank to breathe, then how is he able to talk underwater without getting a mouthful of water and choking and dying? I mean, come on, guys. If any person or cat was underwater with that much water pressure, and like on the ocean floor, obviously there's gonna be a lot of water pressure. Wouldn't he like explode or die with that much water going to his mouth that quickly? I'm just saying. I know this is SpongeBob logic here, but if the show was gonna go on real logic that Kenny needs to breathe the air, then why not stick with real logic all the way? Well, I guess the show's gonna go on logic that helps drive the plot forward, cause why not? I mean, I thought it would have been really funny if Kenny couldn't talk underwater because he didn't have an air helmet on. If the words he was saying were being muffled because, well, he was getting suffocated with water. That would have been funny. But no, they're not gonna do that. Why would they do that? Why would SpongeBob be funny now? No. Okay, so let's actually talk about my final thoughts on the episode. I think that this episode is by far one of the worst episodes of SpongeBob that I have seen in quite some time. I'm looking at you, Freeze Face and Squid Baby. Oh my god. I might review those at one point, but not right now. The way it was written was so sloppy. The story was a direct ripoff of I'm Your Biggest Fanatic. There was an unnecessary level of creepiness from SpongeBob's obsession with Kenny the cat that magically goes away as soon as SpongeBob meets Kenny. You would think his obsession would grow as he knows Kenny more, but no, I guess not. And what happened to Patrick? If he really was a fan of Kenny, then wouldn't SpongeBob's creepiness not have driven SpongeBob away? I understand he left because of SpongeBob's creepiness, but wouldn't he have come back in the morning to meet Kenny? And why was Squidward's only screen time in the whole episode the one scene so he could just get hurt? I know it's because of Squidward porn, but come on, guys. If you really want to abuse Squidward that bad, then at least keep him in the episode for more than 30 seconds. Okay. I'm calm now. I'm sorry, I got a little bit too far there. I took it a little too far. Okay, so overall, I would give this episode a 2 out of 10, and the only reason why this episode gets a 2 out of 10 is because of two clever things they did. Or one technically clever thing they did. They did one clever thing with Kenny being named after Tom Kenny. That was clever, and I guess I'll give it to them for actually using foreshadowing in their episode, because good job, you know, good job. That's it. Other than that, this episode was 100% garbage. Do not watch this episode. Only watch it if you want to get rage and be disgusted with the new modern SpongeBob episodes. Okay, I'm done reviewing this piece of shit. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Ryan Kelly, and I will see you in the next video. Peace! So did you enjoy this video? If you did, please leave a like or subscribe to the channel if you want. I mean, of course you don't have to do this unless you want to, but it really does help the channel out. Also, there are some more videos that you might want to check out if you like this video. Also, let me know in the comments below if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Also, don't forget to click one of those videos, man. They're going to be quite interesting. You might want to check them out. Click. Look, it's not going away. It's staying right there. It's okay. Why don't you click one? Oh, hey, that one looks interesting. Why don't you click it? Huh? You scared? You don't think you're able to handle it? That's okay. No, fine. It's whatever. If you don't want to click the video, it's cool. We can stand here. I can talk with you. It's okay. Alright, for real, click one. Get off this video. This video's over. Click another video. Or leave. Ooh. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. You don't have to click one if you don't want to. We can stand here and have this nice conversation. Okay. Alright, well, I'm going to end the video. You didn't click fast enough. Alright. Ending video.